Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 363. We're missing a few people. Ryan had something come up. He'll be back next week. And Josie had some family actually in town. So she'll be back next week as well. MVG, all right over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
I guess we're starting with MVG. He interjected. MVG, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. Sorry for my technical difficulties there, but I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, John.
Amateur hour over there.
Yeah. Well,
we also have returning to the podcast after several weeks now, I think, for about an hour or so before he, dies in his bedroom or something. We have Sean, RG85 with us.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for rehiring me. I'm glad the lawyers could figure something out in the meantime.
You're testing the NDA. I saw it on Twitter.
Hey.
Apparently the Twitter's not a real place thing actually works in court for that defense. Yeah. So Sean's here and he'll be with us for about an hour. He's not feeling well, but he said, I got to be there. I got to be there for the people.
Got to be there.
We have OJ who's out in a parking lot with a Lambo behind him.
Listen, John, man, the birthday's tomorrow. I told everybody, John's gonna let me borrow the Lambo for the birthday tomorrow. So
is that Cliffy B's old Lambo from the Gears of War days?
I don't know, John. Let him. This is John. People think I'm tripping. This is actually John doesn't want to let people know that he got a Lambo. But this is actually John's Lambo, the one that I actually crashed beforehand that got me kicked off the Spawncast the first time. This is it. You got it fixed up. It's nice. He let me borrow it again. He's got two. So
is that a wrap or a paint job?
What?
That's a wrap. That's a wrap right there.
That's
how you get that nice like that sheen on it.
That's why I crashed the first one. I have no idea what the hell you guys are talking.
Yeah.
I was testing him, John.
Dude, that's why I crashed it. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I mean, if you're not gonna wrap the Lambo, why do you buy the Lambo?
Exactly.
That nice shifter wrap. It's great.
Yeah. It's a good rap, man. I can rap too. What you got?
Looks like a GameCube to me.
See, there we go. Now we're there. It's. I was speaking of Cliffy B. Did you see that Lawbreakers is somehow coming back?
Is it really?
I think
it's private servers.
They're trying to set up a private server for it or something.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like it's going to be on PlayStation. I think it's just like PC stuff, and it's like just custom servers. But that was very random to see pop up.
I mean, that's random.
And then,
I've been playing Gigantic for the past week.
See, there we go. We got Evan. Evan's here too, playing Gigantic. Wait, when did that come back? Was that recent?
Yeah, like last week.
I remember we had talked about how they were sending out emails for it. Like, that was like a few months ago or something, right? Randomly, here's an email for Gigantic, and it's like it's back now. Wow, Evan is happy playing a video game right now.
It's Gearbox though, and we know what's happening over there. So.
Well, he went from Dragon's Dogma 2 to Gigantic. Like, you're actually on a roll of games that you like right now.
It's rare, but
I was to say it's impressive stuff. Evan almost smiled. All right, good stuff. Well, tonight we do have a bunch of things to go over, which does include Nintendo actually making a hire that made quite a few headlines, and we'll kind of talk a bit about why, but I'm also curious if it really is that big of a deal for something like this. We do have the Star Wars Outlaws controversy that actually spans quite a few subjects for that. And we had Fallout's getting an update, and we even had the show that popped up, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure something out with Final Fantasy here, because it is not going in the right direction currently. So how about we start with, actually, Sean, what do you want to start with since you're only here for an hour? Is there any topic that you got to talk about?
Giving Sean the Make-A-Wish topic?
John, whatever topic you want to gaslight me for, I'll let dealer's choice go with it.
Oh, well, that's easy. I can pick one pretty fast here for that. Let me go to Dead Space getting shelved. We had reports flying all over the place. Some were being pushed back on. There was a lot of semantics coming up with this. Dead Space, though, effectively at EA has been shelved. Was it in development? Was it not? I don't know. That's up for debate, apparently. But it is that was a big thing online. That was crazy on X or Twitter. But Dead Space, unfortunately, looks like we're not getting a new one or a second one. Instead, we have EA Motive going to Iron Man, and we have EA Motive working on the next Battlefield. So there will be, obviously, a new Battlefield. We know about Iron Man because it was already announced. But I played Dead Space. I liked Dead Space Remake. I thought it was very good. And I will admit, I'm a little disappointed that they're not going to do something else with that franchise right now. But apparently the sales weren't necessarily there, or at least there enough to pull them off of what's probably going to sell really well, being Iron Man. I mean, let's be real. That's going to do well. Who else played Dead Space when it dropped? MVG, you played it, didn't you?
Yep.
You played it. I feel like Sean did, because you played Callisto as well.
No, I didn't play it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
'Cause, I mean, the
I know if OJ
original version seemed like good enough. Like
it's it's comparable. I mean, yeah, it is. It is. I don't know if OJ got a chance to play it or anything. Like I said, it's very comparable to the original one, which is probably why it was. I think it was just under 3 years to develop the thing and get it to market. You did, okay, yeah. There you go. Say, is anyone? I mean, I saw some people who were disappointed, but I saw some other people who were like, I didn't really care to buy it for full price anyway. So like, there wasn't as much mourning online as I kind of thought they'd be over something like that. But any hopes and dreams for there being a Dead Space game in the future, and would any comments on the discourse that happened online when this was all getting reported?
Yeah, I have a few things to say about this. I'll be respectful because I like Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb, I think is a good guy. I like him a lot. But words matter, man. Semantics matter. Your sentences matter. Information matters. When you say something, make sure that you present it in the way that you're trying to portray it in the first place, because I think a lot of people kind of walked away with the understanding that there was a Dead Space 2 game in development and it was canceled, when that was not actually what actually happened at all. According to Jason Schreier and Kat Bailey from IGN, they both basically said no, it was never greenlit, it was never a thing. So look, at the end of the day, does it really matter? No, it doesn't, because we were never getting a Dead Space 2 anyway. So there's a zero-sum game here of nothing. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I just, I think the whole thing was just pretty hilarious to sit back and watch it. But yeah, look, if you're gonna, and I've been in trouble for doing this before myself, right? If you're gonna make some comments out there, you're gonna put your name out there or put something out there, then make sure that you say the right words, because a lot of people misinterpret, misconstrue, misinform, misreport information. And as we saw with the Dead Space 2 stuff.
Give me a shout out to Wishbone. Happy birthday, Wishbone. Just turned 32 years old.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
My thing with it is, there is nothing inherently bad about being wrong about something. But like, it seems like and it's not just, with this Dead Space situation, it seems like with leaker culture in general, like nobody ever wants to be wrong. And then when they are wrong, it's like, oh, well, maybe people will forget about it, or, let's sweep it under the rug. Let's move on to the next thing. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. I have been wrong. I know a guy who stayed up till 3 a.m. to watch a PS Vita 2 reveal.
Hey, you just wait till 2027 or 2028. I'm coming back for that. I'm coming back when he drops that handheld.
Like it's okay to be wrong. It's
record
at
2 a.m.
But I just don't get why like people are just so hung up on not being wrong and like getting into the semantics of things. And well, this is what I meant to say. And it's like, dude, just be like, you know what, I was wrong. It doesn't seem like that was a situation. Now there's other reports out there. It is what it is. Like people are going to give you shit whether you're right or wrong anyways. So I don't know.
You're right. Reddit does like to do that.
Yeah. Like who the fuck cares if some jerk off on Twitter is like, oh, you're wrong about this. Okay. There. You got it out of your system. Like, who cares?
You know what's interesting though is the part of this also that came about. I believe Schreier mentioned that they actually thought about doing a new Dead Space after this, not necessarily going to 2, like just making an original Dead Space or just following the current Dead Space they just did, but just a new one.
Why not? I mean, they got an engine for it. They got the tech for it. Why not build a new Dead Space story?
I like the idea of that. Yeah, I think so. I mean, they do the remakes, and you guys have both mentioned that. like the original one versus the new one, they're close. You know, they're like, sure, visually speaking, control wise, that kind of thing. They modernize it, they spruce it up. But if you have an original new one, that'd probably pull more people in there. And maybe Dead Space 1, this remake, could have been seen as more of a just a test to see if people even remember the franchise anymore. So, I mean, the budget, I don't think was very high. I think Nate kind of mentioned that on Direct Xbox, that it was like middling budget. So it wasn't something they necessarily lost money on, but they didn't make a ton of money on it either. So on to Iron Man, which is probably going to sell a lot. So there you go.
Is it though? I mean, it's Iron Man, so there's guaranteed sales there, but is it?
You know, that's a good. Iron Man isn't as strong as Spider-Man. Obviously, Spider-Man is incredibly popular. What do you think is stronger right now, Iron Man or Captain America?
Well, let's scale that back a little bit, because I feel like the Iron Man films, like those were very popular. I've even watched one of them before.
Yeah, in 2010 or whatever they came out.
I think the first one was that 08 or that was?
Yeah,
I feel like it was a long time ago.
We're going back a while now.
It was good though.
Yeah, that's true.
It was good.
See,
also, I mean,
I was wrong. I accepted it.
So the Civil War was good too, between obviously the Captain America Iron Man thing. That was really popular as well. But I don't know. The Iron Man games haven't been good. So maybe if this one's really good, people will be like, okay, finally we got that good Iron Man game. I guess they'll test the IP to see how strong it is. But I feel like if they had to put their money somewhere, it's probably better to do Iron Man than like Captain America, maybe even Hulk.
I don't know. I feel like superheroes, young CA, superheroes are timeless. I do feel like to some degree, because I mean, you know, like Batman disappeared for a while, and then there were some sus films, but then, you know, Batman came back with a vengeance. I feel like all these characters can come back because they're generational. You know, like if a new Superman movie came out on, you know, well, it would have to be DVD, because I bought my grandparents a Blu-ray player and they put it in a closet because they didn't want to learn the controller of it. But if it came out on DVD, yeah, it was a whole big thing. And you know, it came out on DVD and I brought it over to my grandpa's house. Like he would watch it because, you know, Superman, he's watched Superman stuff before. So, you know, is Iron Man of that level? Probably not. But I think an Iron Man game, if it's done right, I think it could do well. But go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, that's always the trick. I mean, superheroes are great depending on their medium. You put them into video games, if the video game doesn't match the feel of the character to make people want to play it.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
You know, Suicide Squad fucking fell flat on its ass because the writing wasn't what people really wanted, and you know, the gameplay loop itself was monotonous and tedious at best. So
I do want to go over to this one as well while Sean's here with Star Wars Outlaws, because I don't know if Sean got in trouble for this too. He gets in trouble for a lot of stuff. But
there was a super chat about it.
Oh, was there? Okay,
yeah.
let me just double check, because I can throw that up here while we're going over it. But Star Wars Outlaws, we did get a new story trailer. We also got the release date, along with multiple editions, kind of as expected from Ubisoft, and even a little blue banner thing at the bottom with internet required. But anyway, it is coming out August 30th. It's going to take place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, with an original character they've created here. It also made headlines. This is... Let me see which super chat. I see Tijo. Tijo says, thank you, John and RG Nintendo, YouTuber 85 for all you do.
It wasn't that one.
I know people said mod the 3DS, but the bigger issues with Smash Brothers 3DS DLC are with preservation, consumer protections, and Nintendo lying.
Lemstar.
Nerd Crave says Sean's not back till we get an after show. Sean does an after show. He does it with Game and Talk.
We do that, and I'll do a stream this upcoming week.
Okay, there we go. I might as well go through these now. Aaron's Q says, who would you cast? Oh, who would you cast if for a movie about Xbox? I'll do Ben Kingsley as Peter Moore and Adam Scott as Don Matrick, Mark Wahlberg as Phil. Mark Wahlberg as Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I could see it.
Okay. I'll go with that's a good one. I'll go with that one. That's a good one. Maybe I'm missing it. Let me see. Start. I got it. Okay. This makes it a lot easier. Lemstar. RGT85. RGT likes that Outlaws chick with the Bruce Jenner bone structure. LMAO. There you go.
Here's my thing, bruh.
Oh gosh.
And this goes for every man on this panel, maybe besides John, but every man on this panel and every man in this chat. There is at least one girl you have been with that is way uglier than that chick. So I don't want to hear shit about shit. Her hair looks goofy. Yes, she looks like a fucking 80s mom. That hair is terrible. But she's not disgusting. Comparative to the actress that she's based on, yes, the actress is hotter, but there's the key word there, actor. Do I really need, not want, but do I really need a super hot chick to play as in a Star Wars game?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Not, I mean,
I don't think so either. I mean, I want to make sure I just said I don't think so either. These people are freaking crazy.
My thing is like, this isn't like the Fable chick who looks like an ogre. You know what I'm saying? This looks like a chick that when you go to Walmart, you like see her shopping for like groceries. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
People
definitively ugly. I don't know if I could say any of that
RGT's
stuff,
like,
but
You don't know if you can say that, but you just said it.
RGT's like,
Okay.
Walmart it is. Walmart it is.
you saw that girl at the club, and you know it's like midnight, and you walk into the club, and you've already been pre-gaming. You fuck. And she came up to you and was like, "What are you doing afterwards?" You're gonna be like, "No, look at your jaw. It's Bruce Jenner." Like, no, fuck you. You're gonna be like, "Hey, yo, come through."
Hey, I'll say this. You guys know he's right, though. All these people that are complaining and whining. I saw one dude that literally looked like Jabba the Hutt talking about, this girl's ugly. I'm like, bro, hold up. You got to take care. You can't be talking like that. There's too many people that are like, they're so worried about what the girl looks like in a video game. Like, I get it. Like, you want to have something, I guess, nice to look at. But it's like, you're not going to care when you're playing the game. Like, it doesn't matter. And the girl looks okay. She just kind of looks like Dirty Harry, but that's fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal, you know? Like, so to me, it's like, I never felt like I needed to, oh my God, I need to have like this hot chick to play as in a video game. Like, unless you're like 15, you know, or something like that, unless you're like young.
Bro,
like
when we were 15, like, dude, one of my favorite hot chicks growing up was the fucking, I forget her name. I think it was Mary from Tobal, who looked like Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife. And she just had like these two giant like rectangles and boobs, and they're like stuck out this far. Like, you know, like it's
no man, there's always Mai from Fatal Fury, Neo Geo.
Yeah, that was
like it's just different strokes for different folks.
Okay, so I'm looking at this character that they created here, and in my mind, I'm trying to think of let's just for a moment put a lot of the discourse aside and think of how you would make a character like this to exist in this situation, to where if they're an outlaw or a smuggler or any of these things, right, or they're constantly on the run, probably not showering for days, weeks or so, and they're just always going from place to place to place, that's kind of how you picture them to look. I feel the look of it doesn't necessarily stand out to me as all this was super purposeful just for the sake of it being like that. Like,
I think it's because if you look at the actress, she's arguably more attractive than the character is. But I mean, that's the thing. It's acting, you know. I don't know.
But is the game? Hold up, real quick. Is the game? I don't know much about the game. Is the game supposed to be where they're all dolled up? Isn't it like more of like she's on the run? It's outlaw, right? So she's on the run. She's not going to have time to be doing makeup, and she's not going to be like the best. Like her face is not going to be like best condition. So I mean, it's like it's not the atmosphere of the game is not to look all super dolled up and makeup and everything like that, like you see in headshots and all that. Like when you see like their actor profiles, they're going to look as good as possible, you know, for their actor profiles. But it's the game. It's like the world is different, you know.
Yeah, to me, they're obviously taking the actress and trying to change them to fit that situation. Yeah, in terms of like, okay, you're a smuggler, you're probably also not eating a lot. Like these kind of things all play into it, to where we're gonna try to make you look how it would if you. And honestly, you know, I thought about this, Sean, with the hair, because that was brought up, and I looked at it like that feels out of place, right? Because the bangs are really long.
Yes,
like they come down to here. And I technically, if you're on the run like that, you would try to cover your face more and more. So I feel like in that instance, you'd probably just maybe even grow your hair out if you put it on the front.
Because listen, like remember like Breaking Bad? It made no sense. Like Jesse Pinkman, his teeth were perfect. His teeth he's a crackhead. His teeth are perfect.
He a meth head?
Yeah, he's like a meth head. His teeth are perfect.
He had like the red eyes always around him though. Like
yeah.
they did that a lot to his eyes to make him look kind of crazy at times.
But his teeth were perfect.
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
You like you grind your teeth if you're on substances. Like he had perfect teeth.
So it's like they got to try to adapt the actor to fit though, you know, whatever. I get it. I know they kind of maybe sometimes it's not as good, but it's not always going to be like a one-to-one thing, or every game is like different engines, different stuff.
I mean,
it's gonna look a little bit different. So.
Even the Stellar Blade situation, like some of her assets were enhanced from the original model that was done with Stellar Blade, and it's like, you know, I think there's room for hot chicks in games. There's room for ugly chicks in games. I get why people are critical with all of this stuff happening right now. A lot of people have a bit of a stank eye towards it, and they're skeptical about things. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. But I do think you got to be reasonable and take things on a case-by-case basis. If you just start blanket statement everything, then, you know, it's I don't think
lazy. It's lazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair. That's why people get pissed off at me, because I'll sit there and talk shit about, you know, a certain situation happening, but then I'll kind of, you know, share the same opinion about another situation. They're like, oh, you're flip-flopping. It's like, no, I'm looking at the situation on a situation to situation basis. I'm not going to blanket statement and be like, oh, this is all bullshit. No, I'd like to look into it, and, you know, it is what it is though.
Yeah, I mean, the game itself, August 30th, you know, I'm looking at the gameplay for it, and the gameplay really hasn't stood out much to me with what they're doing. I guess it looks kind of like Star Wars mixed with Uncharted, sort of, based on some of the stuff they've shown, but I think I talked to you about it, MVG, and even you were kind of like, I don't know, I'm missing that thing that's supposed to like grab me and be like, okay, yeah, I got to pick this one up. And I kind of agree with that, to where if there is a lot of stuff out, this is August 30th, which does start to get into that time period where we could see a bunch of releases either at the end of August or the beginning of September. This might be one that kind of blends into the background a little bit for me, unless there's some big thing they haven't shown us yet.
No, I'm not buying it. I don't like the online only requirement as well for a game that doesn't require it.
No,
hold on. And I know this is a separate topic, but Ubisoft is annoying me right now with the crew bullshit as well. So I don't trust them enough to buy this game.
I'm looking at the gameplay, and the in-game model is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. Like when she's running and stuff, people are zooming in and closing up and doing like it's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I agree with you, MVG. Yeah, that always online stuff is stupid.
But I thought it's not. I thought it's just online for the install, and then you play the game offline.
It's a single player offline game, yeah.
Yeah, you have to install it because it's not all on the disc.
So then why isn't it all on the disc?
Because they don't want to print 2 discs.
Yeah,
print 2 discs. Do the Final Fantasy.
We've had this before. Like Avatar was interesting because if you had that physically, there was an activation you had to download technically as an update to get it to work, which I believe also had extra content that they didn't fit on the disc. And Jedi Survivor, this is just Star Wars, not technically Ubisoft. Jedi Survivor, it wasn't all on the disc because it was 150 gigabytes for the game. So they made you download an additional like 60 gigabytes or something like that.
Didn't buy that game.
Of course, there were updates on top of it. So
I'm still waiting for you to buy that game for me, John. Still waiting.
Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Hey, you got it. Jedi Survivor is a very good game. It's good now, but that's unfortunate that I mean, the thing about with Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, we'll talk about that in a bit, but that was a big marketing thing. Hey, it's on 2 Blu-rays. Like, that's not something that anyone else really wants to do.
Oh yeah, huge marketing. Yeah, it did really well for them.
But the fact that was pointed out, it's like, oh, that's weird. That's a big deal, huh? Apparently it is, because like I think that's one of the reasons this has that online banner on it, because you need an online connection down with the rest of the game, which is we'll see if Ubisoft lets you do that in 15 years.
I'm gonna check it out, I think.
Yeah,
I also never mind.
Oh, okay. You're about to say something, get yourself in more trouble.
No, just I don't know. I think it looks kind of. I like the premise of it. I don't know how well it'll translate. So I am trying to keep an open mind about it because I usually like Star Wars games, even though. Go ahead and say it, John.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't play Jedi Survivor. You didn't play Fallen Order.
I like. I don't know. I
feel like you would like those games if you tried them too.
I feel like that too, but the fact that you like them, it definitely.
See, the thing is, there is a lot of different Star Wars games tailored for many different types of people that like different styles of games. There's all the stuff that John likes. There's the Shadows of the Empire, the more arcadey type stuff. There's like the PC, the TIE Fighter stuff. There's like the point and click. There's so many Star Wars games in that universe, and I think even if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, you're probably gonna say there's at least a subsection of those games that aren't very good or you don't really connect with in some way.
Yeah, the point and click one's gotta lose me, but the other ones I pretty much like most of those other Star Wars games. I think the Obi-Wan I didn't really play on the original Xbox. People always tell me I should check it out because it's interesting the way they have him swinging his lightsaber with the right stick. But I never really got into that at all.
Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2 are like the best for me. And then
Dark Forces 2 is good.
The other games are decent, John, but they kind of fall away after a while.
You know, like Rebel Assault. I like the
Rebel Assault's all right.
I remember enjoying.
I remember that game in the beginning. You had to fly through the canyon. I would always crash because I had like this terrible joystick for the PC. I would just crash. It would always drift left.
It's a little easier. It's a little easier on Sega CD.
Oh, okay.
But they have the second. I think the second game
is on the PlayStation, right?
Yeah,
that's right. Next week.
Yeah.
Yep. Might check that out just for
it's coming out, right? Yeah, it is coming out.
Rebel Assault's pretty cool shit because at that time, you know, graphics were what they were, but you had like these FMVs blended into it. It really made it stick out, and of course, you had like the characters put onto like green screen or blue screen. It made it unique.
Yep, Rogue Squadron. See people in the chat. That was a good one as well. There are a lot of good Star Wars games.
Star Wars Arcade, both Star Wars Arcade and the Model 3 board. That one's fucking awesome. Yeah. I don't really care for the old 70s, 80s.
I do think you would like Fallen Order, Sean, because it is more of like an action arcade style game. Really, there's some some Souls elements in there, but it's the Souls elements of. You go to a camp thing and you rest and then people come back.
Yeah, Nate tried to say, you're not gonna like Stellar Blade because it's Souls like I fucking beat the demo, bruh. Like I was fine with it. It was fun.
It's kind of like that where people said Stellar Blade felt like a Souls game. That's how people view Jedi as well. So I feel like you'd probably enjoy it. I don't know. Is that on Game Pass? I feel like it might be. Fallen Order.
It might be on. No, it's probably on EA Play, which I have with Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you have an afternoon where you're bored, play it for an hour and see what you think. The opening, they at least have some platforming and some lightsaber stuff. And yeah, you can see what you think. But I do enjoy them quite a bit. And they're going to have a third one to wrap it up. It's a trilogy. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. But yeah, it's going to be a $130 version, 3-day early access for the $100 version. We keep doing this. I guess it works. Are people... Hey, what do you guys feel? How you guys feel about this big push for the 3-day early access thing still happening?
It's annoying, but you know what? I can't. I'd be a hypocrite if I said I never do it because I fucking did it with WWE 2K24. I wanted to play it early, so
you know the thing is, so when it comes to the competitive multiplayer scene, I can at least fathom why someone's like. I got to get on there now. Forza, great example where people would get in early so they can tune their cars, get stuff unlocked, get ready for online day one. But like when you get a single player game like that, like
it doesn't have as much of a incentive.
Yeah, it's playing into Star Wars. I get it, but it's a new character, new IP, all that stuff that doesn't necessarily have the backing of. I'll say Starfield because Bethesda was there with it. And I understand why people would be like this first big RPG from them in 20 years or something. Brand new IP, we'll do that. This doesn't have to me the pull that I would be like, okay, we're gonna dangle 3 days early access over their head and they're gonna grab it. I don't think so. So I'll see. Maybe it ends up being an incredible game and everyone buys it. I'm not counting on it though, but I think it'll be an okay game.
Evan, are you going to buy it?
No,
Right, I'm going to follow Evan's lead on this one.
it's usually a good idea.
Well, aren't you a part of the Ubisoft creators thing?
I am. If they send me a code, I may check it out.
Oh, here we go. Now the story changes.
Well, he's still not. No, he doesn't. He said he wasn't going to buy it.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I bet they sent a code. I will check it out. I'll give my opinion and thoughts on it. We'll see. Are you? What do you think, OJ? You grabbing this one?
Probably not.
You don't want the online.
I'm in the Ubisoft Creators Program, so maybe they'll send it to me.
There
They
you
usually
go.
send me most. They usually send me most of the stuff.
Okay. There we go.
So yeah, I might. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. I looked at the gameplay. It's just that's not really my.
Is there a new Assassin's Creed this year coming out?
I think that we will have. I think we will. It's either going to be end of this year or first quarter of next year. That's why I told you, MVG. I'm like, it might fall into that time period of I'm on Assassin's Creed. That's Assassin's Creed time.
Yeah. Wow.
MVG checks out. Everything around him is gone,
Yeah.
and it's just Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
and this is going to
I-
be Assassin's Creed in Japan.
I got to
So,
be. Oh, dude, I can't wait. I'm so hyped.
Yep, they've been working on this thing for a long time, so it could be pretty cool. You know what? I do want to stick with Ubisoft real quick because MG, you brought it up with the crew. Ubisoft going in after they shut down the servers. That was already a thing, right? They shut down the servers. We had something spun off from this at stopkillinggames.com, right? Sean talked about
by Metal Joseph. Dude, have you seen what the man looks like? It's literally if Metal Jesus and Joe from GameSack like morphed into one person. It's fucking bizarre, dude. It's so weird. I can't stop saying it. So
Metal Joseph.
I forgot his name in the video I made. I just called him Metal Joseph.
That's not his actual name though.
No, it's like Ross, I think.
It's on YouTube video. I gotta see. I gotta watch that.
There's a whole video of him explaining the idea around it, but there's a website now, stopkillinggames.com, I believe, is something like that. But you go there and it basically will ask you, okay, where do you live, like country or whatever, and it'll try to point you it'll try to point you in the direction of who you're supposed to email about digital consumer rights, basically, and regulators looking into this further, because I think we're to that point now where there's so much pushback, obviously, about trying to keep physical as the primary or just as an option. I kind of feel like digital is becoming more and more inevitable, and we have to get to the position where people start asking questions around what kind of rights consumers will have in a digital, like just a digital future like that, where it's all publishers with control. Because now we're seeing Ubisoft go in after shutting down the crew servers. People were posting screenshots all over the place of this happening on PC currently. They're pulling the entitlement or the ownership out of libraries to where you don't have it anymore. It's just gone.
Yep. I can vouch for that. I logged into my Steam library the other day. I bought The Crew back in the day when it came out because I really liked that game. To be completely fair, I haven't played it in about 8 years.
Well,
but I still see it in my little menu there, and I try to launch it, John, and I can't launch it anymore. It's gone. They've nuked it. Completely nuked it out of my library, even though it's still kind of in my list of Steam games. So that's not cool. I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to be able to make a purchase and then be able to re-download that game, in perpetuity. And if you missed out buying a digital license, I can see that point of view. But the fact that they're going into your library, like what they did with
Stellar Blade,
Stellar Blade, PT. And they just kind of yank it out of there. That's not cool at all. And I feel like there are laws here that have not been tested in court, and someone's going to get pissed off to the point where they're going to be like, "Fuck this! We're gonna fight back." So
that man's name is Metal Joseph, and he's fucking leading the charge.
And listen, I made a tweet about that kind of went not viral, but somewhat. And I had a bunch of people telling me, "Oh, they don't do it for normal games. They don't do it for normal games. No, that's fine. You're overreacting." Well, they did it for a normal game.
Yeah.
That's a normal game. That is the problem with all digital future. When I say stuff like that, people think I'm just tripping or I'm just whatever, just fear mongering. That's what I heard. I'm like, no. If you let them, if it's all digital, they can just pull the game. You give them too much control. like the fact that they can just go in there when you bought the game. Do you get a refund for that, MVG? Was there any type of
No, I mean,
no
I know
refund?
someone on the PlayStation store was able to get a refund. On
But it should be
Steam.
automatic. It should be an automatic refund.
No, on Steam, I mean, I don't even know what I would do to get a refund on a game that I bought in 2014. Like,
Well,
I don't think that's possible, but maybe it is. We'll see.
and
I mean,
to
you
be
can put it
clear,
through.
that's not the only thing that the whole stop killing games thing is focused on. It's also focused on things like Gran Turismo 7, because Gran Turismo 7 right now you have to have an online connection to play it. Now they could make it so that when the game finally shuts down, they allow it to be played offline. But that's something that's not completely written in stone. And don't even say some shit like, oh, well, you could just you could get the game, get the older version of the game later on down the road. No, because look at what happened with Forza's. They removed most of the previous Forza games off of Xbox digitally because of licensing issues and stuff like that. And, especially with racing games, like, yes, racing games are definitely moving into a more online culture, but racing games of yesteryear, especially with community mods, are arguably just as good, if not better, than the
What you been
games
playing,
we're
Sean?
playing.
Tell the people what you've been playing.
Gran Turismo 4, man. Gran Turismo 4 with the HD texture mod. It literally looks, I think, at times better than Gran Turismo 5 does on PS3, and it's a PS2 game. And you could see I moved my my cockpit and my wheel down here because I bought a PC to emulate stuff, and then I ended up getting a million other emulation devices, but it's got like a 3080 in it. And I was like, well, I could probably run this shit at 4K. So I'm running it at 4K with a texture mod that looks absolutely incredible. And it's so much fun, and I don't have to worry about that ever really going away, because it's always going to be there because it doesn't have that online requirement.
Is that the game you showed in your video?
No, that was Gran Turismo 2 for the PlayStation 1, which also, that was a little bit different because what they did was, like, the fancy graphics have been around for that for a while, but they added in a couple new cars and a new event, and they're going to be adding in more stuff into that as well. So that's actually a PS1 game that now, because the original release of Gran Turismo 2 was only 30 frames per second, but with emulation you can now have it at 60 frames per second, and it's a fucking night and day difference, dude. And then once you add in the beefed up graphics and all that sort of stuff and the additional content, like, it makes it feel like a new game. But with Gran Turismo 4 and that texture mod, it really makes it feel like a modern game, and it looks like a modern game. Like, it's absolutely incredible. Like, so half the time I'm playing it, like, I forget I'm playing a PS2 game. And of course, you could just turn the mod off and look at it, and it's almost like, how when you played a game when you were younger and you have like that visual style in your mind, and like that's what it looked like, and then you go back and play it as an adult and you're like, oh wow, this looks like absolute dog shit. It's like that same effect, except now it's like, holy shit, this is what it looked like to me as a kid, but now it looks like this as an adult.
Yeah, you did the video on GT2, and people should check that out because you're contemplating a video on this newer one that you're playing right now.
Yeah,
GT4.
I mean, it's a tough market to break into. Like, if you don't always do racing content, like, people that are fans of racing stuff don't seem to find it. And I don't feel like I have a lot of racing fans on my channel because I never really talk about racing games, but I love racing games. I absolutely adore them because I like cars.
I remember when you were trying to OJ said something. What did he say? I think he's muted.
Oh, my bad. I said I couldn't talk
good.
about the cockpit and steering wheel. You're a fan of racing games? Really? Interesting.
Got a whole setup in there.
Yeah, man.
A whole setup
It's pretty
going.
basic here for actual fans. Yeah.
I'm waiting
Well,
for the
I
actual car. Like, you're gonna put like a car hood and like the whole like thing, like the
That's what the real fans do.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
I have this weird closet here that needs to be like refinished.
Closet?
Yeah, but it's like big, and I've literally thought about like just fucking like putting like a huge wraparound screen in there and like making an actual car cockpit and like getting, because this
Jesus
wheel
Christ.
the seat, it's like it doesn't move or anything like that, but I thought about like getting one of those moving seats. I remember we went to a mall in what town was that? It was like a big outlet. Excuse me, it was a big outlet mall.
Daytona.
No, it was in North Carolina, but they had this NASCAR experience thing that you could do there. That was like, that's what it was. Like you sat in like a stock car, like a pseudo stock car, and like the whole thing moved with like way beyond like a Daytona USA experience. Like this was
It's
like
Initial D in Japan. They had those Initial D cabinets that actually had like legit Toyotas on there.
It's a terrible name, but
Initial D is freaking awesome, man. You know what I'm about?
Yeah, Concord. It was in Concord, North Carolina, and it was so cool, man. I love
terrible.
No, Initial D is kind of fire. I like it.
It is fire.
Deja vu.
Just the initial one. You need to get. You need to get
OJ is a pervert.
John's stupid,
No, you need to get 3 of the monitor. You can get 3 monitors, set it up in the closet, so it's like you have 1 in front of you, 2 in each corner, and you can set that up so it looks like as you say, like sitting in a car.
Right.
And many of the games on Steam now, the newer ones, will support that. But you could also get 3 PlayStation 2s. It might go further than that. You can connect them all together, and you can do the same thing with PlayStation 2s with GT4.
Or I could just do 3 PCs.
You could do that. Well, you just do 1 PC. You're 38.
PC, 3 instances
Here's
of the
fine.
emulator.
Here's fun. Yeah, just do that. Just get like 3 1440p or even 4K monitors, set them up, and you have this really nice.
No, no big deal. Just get 3 of those monitors, Sean. Slap them all together. Yeah, it's all good.
You don't pay me. Buy them for me. There you go.
That'll be good. That'll be
You just
okay.
gotta dome the wall, get a nice projector, and just have it project to the dome.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that it was funny when you told me you wanted to play Forza and realized you had to buy it physically to play Forza 6 because it did not did not exist. 7, sorry, it did not exist at all. Like you couldn't go online, get it, nothing. You had to find it on eBay or Amazon or something. So
that's what I did. I have a copy of that game.
Yeah,
man, it's a shame.
That's it.
Because
one day they'll just take it out of our entitlement. Even when we install the game, they'll probably just be like, "No, you can't play that anymore."
That's the new word they're gonna be using a lot. By the way,
they're already using it.
Entitlement. Yeah, I noticed that during that podcast for Xbox, they kept saying entitlement. I was like, I haven't heard that word very often until now. So I think that's going to be used quite a bit. So Ubisoft, I think that I kind of wonder if this is getting tested, like in EU or in court somewhere. I kind of think it is.
I feel like they're pushing it harder and harder, and people are going to get pissed off. There's going to be a class action. Something's going to give. They're going to annoy the wrong people.
People were wondering what's the big deal if the servers are down, but we just talked about lawbreakers bringing up private servers. Who's to say that? I mean, if the community really wants it and they can figure it out, you never know.
The other thing with the initial version, or the original, the crew, I don't know about crew 2 and the other crew. I haven't played the other 2 games, but even though it was online, you can play that game 100% offline. And that's the way that I played that game. I didn't play with anyone else. I just did offline races. There is no reason why they couldn't just flick a switch somewhere in the code that says, I'm always offline. Let me play this game that I paid for. That's kind of the normal way things are done. Servers eventually get sunset, right? That's a thing that happens. Every online game eventually will have an expiration of their servers. We've seen it happen before. We saw it with Nintendo just this week. So just give us a patch, right? Just to turn the game and just make an offline experience. And I think there'll be people that are unhappy about it, but there will be a community that builds an online server for this game. Right now, because Ubisoft has literally removed the game out of people's Steam accounts and Ubisoft accounts, whatever, the only way to play this game is to pirate it. That's the only way you can play this game now. Like there is no other unless you buy a physical copy of it on Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah. But like PC, I mean, who even has a disk drive to pop it in anymore?
I mean, what are we doing here? Like you're literally just telling people just pirate the game. We can't support you at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one. I kind of think this is somebody's going to bring this up somewhere in the world, and that'll be an interesting case to follow. Ubisoft loses, that might set the stage for just digital in general.
I think some of the problem is that this is all very new. So like, you look at how like laws are enacted and stuff like that. Like it will take someone in order to speak up about it and have enough support. Like it's not easy to get your voice out there. So support Metal Joseph.
That's a good point, Sean. When you think about the digital libraries that we've built up, really, it hasn't for consoles. Really, mostly, it hasn't been that long that we were buying full games on our system and attaching it to an account. It was 2010.
Yeah, and the thing of it is these video game companies know that. So what they're doing is they're trying to exploit it and get ahead of any potential laws that end up happening. And if they're able to do it, they're gonna do it. So yeah, Accursed Farms is his name.
Okay, we got it. Accursed Farms.
Accursed.
Check them out. They have the everything kind of in motion right now, and the crew is like one of the big focal points of that whole thing because I mean it's a clear-cut example. MVG's right. Took it out of his library from Steam. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of that. Let me go through some of the super chats here. EA cancel Mono to focus own IP, then make Iron Man. Hellman says fix the intro, need the music back. Hold on. Nate showed me that we do have music. Actually, you know what, Evan, I found on here you can upload your own music as well. So we can actually upload the music here. Nate showed me that yesterday. I think so. I think we could do intro and everything. Yeah, I think so. Nate was showing me this yesterday because he figured it out for Game and Talk. Sean, was Nate playing music during that?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. He figured it out. I think he spent some time in StreamYard one night just checking things out. Gab says, just realized I've never heard John swear. Well,
he wouldn't even do it in the South Park video. The special abilities were called bullshit. I was like, what are they called, John? Oh, BS. I was like,
yeah, there you go.
That's not what it says.
I'd like my kids to be able to watch these shows and listen along as Sean balances me out. So there you go. Trombita says, if Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth was on Xbox, it would have easily sold 15+ million by now. Source Cold Eastwood. the casual
he had the inside scoop on that new Xbox handheld.
That Frieza looking handheld that he put that thumbnail. Form 2 Frieza handheld.
Confident with that information too.
But hey, pretty sure there's a handheld.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's gonna know, it would be him because he fucking DMs the fucking Phil Spencer and all those motherfuckers. So he's probably right on it. Like shit.
Casual Noob Gamer says, RGT, I don't feel good. I will be here all night. Look at that.
You are probably on a couch.
It's a cat.
On a couch. You're not entertaining people. You're just watching. I could watch this all night. That's fine. But if I fall asleep, that's a different thing.
This is from... There we go. Orb says, EA will have unrealistic expectations for Iron Man sales, leading to it being viewed as a failure, no matter how good the game is. I feel like the licensing for that with Marvel is probably very expensive. So I feel like their expectations are very high for that game. It's probably not cheap. Sir Link says, RGT, how many MiG Switch clones have you received?
None. The new company is gonna send me one though. I've been talking to them. I still haven't gotten the MiG Switch that I fucking bought. And I know, John hasn't. Fucking MVG hasn't. Destiny FOMO got a refund because the guy stopped responding to her. Fucking Taki Udon, he got that shit 2 months ago. He got 2 million views on that motherfucker too. Bastard.
I saw the pricing. I saw the pricing for the unlock.
2 million views, damn it.
I saw the pricing for the unlock Switch. I think they just announced it today. It was $39.
Yeah, like $39. Yeah.
Are they doing a separate dumper as well?
Oh, that's a
Isn't
good
it?
question. I don't know how that works.
Because I think MigSwitch released the source code for the dumper because it's not their code or something. So,
Oh, that sounds weird.
but
Okay.
that may not be 100% accurate.
Hmm. I will look into that. I'm curious now how they're. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it because MigSwitch is going to make you take your cartridges and basically rip them in a certain format to then put on the cartridge.
And it doesn't seem like there's going to be, at least not in the immediate future, like there's going to be like a community surrounding this that's going to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it seems like it's really you know, all these fucking devices, even since the DS era. Oh, it's to back up your games. Yeah, okay, I'm sure it is. But like it seems like this one is literally actually just to back up your games, and you can't do anything sort of beyond that.
Blue Knight says, I want a good Iron Man game, but I don't know. It would require EA making a more enjoyable version of Anthem. Yeah, I saw people immediately say, are they just going to make Anthem? I don't necessarily think so. I feel like they have better source material to pull from this time.
What about that one that came out on the Saturn? Iron Man and XO or something like that.
I did not play that, but I feel like I'm picturing the cover art right now.
Yeah, it's fucking it's shit.
I'm gonna play it on the Saru when it comes in next week.
There's a 2D Iron Man that looks pretty cool for the Game Boy.
We've got Marvel vs. Capcom too, so that's solid already.
It got okay. It's essentially a 70 on Metacritic.
Truly Epic says, anyone miss when most games had fun cheat codes?
Yes.
Yeah, those are good days. We watched Direct Xbox. We had after show. We watched part of Cheat from G4, and they were just showing you different codes and things to do. And I was like, man, those are the days. Now you got to pay for them. The Glasses gifted 1 Spawn Wave membership. Shout out to the Glasses 61. Cody asked, are any of you guys a fan of Star Trek? If you could have one AAA Star Trek game, from what show or era, and what type or style of game would it be?
You would play as LeVar Burton, and it would just be the scene where they take off his little eye visor, and you got to stop the people. I'm not a Trekkie person at all.
Why does that scene stick out to you?
Because it terrified me as a child. Yeah, like I watched that Star Trek. You know what I want? You know what pisses me off? I'm gonna go on a little tangent here.
Another?
Fucking Planet of the Apes. Okay.
What?
Okay. Here's the problem with it. With every fucking streaming website, you type in Planet of the Apes. What pops up? It's all the newer stuff. I want to watch the old ones. I want to watch the one where they're in the city and they break out of the city. I don't know which one it was called. I can look it up and find out.
Someone in the chat can probably tell you.
That's what I want to watch. And none of these streaming services have it. They all just show you the new Planet of the Apes. And I feel like that would be something that would happen with Star Trek, because there's fucking this Star Trek, and you got Picard, and you got the dude from Fact or Fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out what streaming platform has that.
None of them do.
Can anyone in the chat help Sean? He's trying to watch Planet of the Apes. After this person asked us about Star Trek.
But I mean, it falls in line because there's multiple Planet of the Apes. There's multiple Star Treks.
If you could have what type of show style? I don't know. They had a movie where they crossed over different timelines and generations. I remember that, and that seems like the most likely to take a swing at if you're going to put that kind of money into it. I feel like most people would say like Next Generation, because I kind of think that's the one that is probably the most popular. I'll go with Voyager. It was between Voyager or Deep Space Nine. I'll go with Voyager. And it'll just be a third-person shooting adventure game.
It's called Escape from Planet of the Apes, released in 1971.
Okay. So or is the chat now going out and trying to find this movie for you on a streaming platform somewhere?
Hopefully.
Okay. This is from South Coast. Says, all this silly talk about sexualizing game characters. Does anyone remember concept art of Joanna Dark for Perfect Dark Zero pre-game release? Do I remember concept art? Joanna Dark. I do not remember concept art. I guess we
I'm
could look it up.
looking it up now.
Okay. And we have JT Bell says, Sir Nintendo.
Hello.
That's Sean.
Why does she look very like anime? Like extremely anime.
Like the eyes and
Yeah, like yes.
like they do the thing where it's like the over embellished like eyes and facial features and stuff as like
Well, here
for
I
emotion.
can okay, because we have a private chat in this thing, and you could probably put it on the screen here.
The Glasses 61 says people always comment on women's looks in games on both sides. Left hates when they're too sexy, right hates when they're too ugly. Both need to just shut up. Yeah, Glasses 61. Z says it's been almost 3 years since Nintendo announced their partnership with Forever Entertainment. What do you think they have been working on?
That's a
When
good
Nintendo
question.
and yeah, that's actually a good question. Well, I mean, you feel like if it's been 3 years,
Weren't they doing another Panzer Dragoon game?
They're supposed to be they're supposed to be doing 2.
Yeah.
Sly. But that I don't think was the
It was
That
a
was the
publishing agreement
original.
with Nintendo in 2021. You're right. It has been almost 3. It'll be 3 years in June. That is a good question, actually. And hey, maybe we'll find out in June then. Maybe that's what we'll look towards. That's interesting. That's I don't know, because you think maybe Nintendo would have something for them to maybe work on, try out. Casual Noob Gamer says early access gets you the full game on the disc. There you go.
I have Disney Plus. I don't think it's
this
on
is
there.
This has after show written all over it. Oh gosh. Mr. Jackson says is RGT ready to admit that Punk wasn't the problem in AEW?
Well, okay, this is bizarre to me that people are just like so quick to defend. This man is a 45-year-old multi-millionaire. Imagine getting that mad at someone for saying for something that you could easily use as a storyline, to the point of where you go up to him backstage and you get in a verbal altercation with him. Well, he might have said some fuck shit to him. Okay, you're a 45-year-old man with a 20-something-year-old guy, and then you got to shove him and try to choke him out. You notice how everyone around them was just kind of standing there, and nobody tried to get in between the altercation, because probably in their minds, as adults, they're like, well, nothing's probably going to happen here. Jack is a very, he seems like a docile, kind of quiet sort of person, and Punk's a little bit mouthy, but he's not gonna hit this kid. Like, come on, dude, get yourself in order. Are you like, what is wrong with you?
I don't have anything to add, but I wanted to ask you guys a question about AEW, Sean, specifically. So
I thought you wanted to ask me to subscribe.
I want to ask you a question. So there is a show coming up in Vegas in May.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something I should be going to? Because I'm thinking about like just going to one of these shows, these AEW shows. So
yes, I think they're. I mean, pro wrestling. It doesn't matter if it's a big company or a fucking backyard event. Like, it's always a fun time.
The last time I went, what's that?
We're gonna see you on TV, front row, handing the chair to somebody.
I mean, maybe I may make a sign.
You play WWE 2K, you got to throw the chair. You don't hand it, throw it. Make a sign.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're just gonna say Banjo Kazooie's coming back.
Yeah, something like that. Banjo #Banjo 2026 or something like that. It might work.
That's an interesting idea.
Well,
that's the question. What would someone write on a sign for MVG?
Fuck Mario Sunshine.
The last wrestling show I went to was Money in the Bank. This was like years ago, like 2010 maybe era, around there.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's been a while. But I obviously AEW is big, but I wasn't really sure if it was worth going out. But I might check one out.
Yeah, it'll be a good time, and I mean, tickets probably aren't that expensive anyways. What the hell's a Stars app? I don't have Stars.
Oh, they found it for you, Sean.
But they no, because they're all liars. They're like, it's on Disney Plus. I went on Disney Plus, and it is not on Disney Plus.
7 Moments says we have to unite, press our government so the games we purchase is ours and not just a license. We don't have to contact your local rep. Thank you, 7
Not
Moments.
wrong.
Z says, how does Steam Deck OLED screen compare to Switch OLED? Well, to be honest, they both look really, really good because they're both OLEDs. But the Steam Deck OLED is 90 hertz, so that for games that can actually take advantage of it, it is pretty cool. Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater runs significantly better on the Steam Deck OLED, and the screen looks really, really good. Let's talk about Final Fantasy VII. Actually, you know what? I want to bring this up first, Sean, because you're about to step out here in a minute. And this is about old games over new games. As we had a report came out of Newzoo, and they mostly track like playtime in games for these different platforms, like Switch, PC, PlayStation, Xbox. They found that the average years on the market for the games that were being played the most were on PC almost 10 years. They came in at 9.6 years old for the games that are in the top 10 played, 7.4 years on the PlayStation, 7.2 years on the Xbox, and then on the Switch, 3.9 years. Top games across the board: Fortnite, Roblox, Grand Theft Auto 5, any of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, because they bundle it all together. You know, it's like Warzone's in there, and then 2, 3, and that sort of thing. And on the Switch, the second game was Tears of the Kingdom, so a newer title there. But it kind of looks like people are just playing older games rather than spending more of their time in the newer stuff. And I keep seeing people wonder about just the kind of the quality and the pull of games now versus even 10 years ago. And then I see this pop up and I'm like, wow, maybe there's something to that.
Which is probably why Ubisoft's taking them away from people.
That's the other thing, though, because we saw that remember with Angry Birds, where I know it's a mobile game and stuff, but they said
they had the free
we have to take this away from you because
so you
guys
can buy
won't
the
stop
actual
playing
version.
We need you to play the new one with the micro. I mean, just the new one. that's kind of how it was, and it's interesting because I think this was described by I want to say it was Matt Piscatella. He kind of called these games sort of I mean, they're time sinks, sure, but like almost like black hole games on the market that really just suck up a lot of the consumer interest and time that they spend in these titles, monthly active users. And there's only so much time in the day for any one person. So they'd rather play Fortnite as opposed to, as we're going to talk about soon, buy Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So that's tough when these live service games hit. I mean, it potentially pulls sales from other games. Now we're actually seeing that illustrated. Almost 10-year-old games being the primary focus on PC, Evan. That seems...
I feel like that's not the right term, though. Pulls sales from newer games. If you're competing with Fortnite as Final Fantasy and someone wants to play Fortnite, how are you losing sales? You're not the same game. Like, it's just a different game. That's all it is.
Good point.
It seems like the focus is put on, like, Roblox is number 2 on PC. Like, just outright.
And live service games do that. I mean, because of the whole, usually you don't have an entry cost and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like there's almost 2 markets in gaming. There's the markets that are usually in like the 300 millions, which are things like Roblox, Fortnite, and stuff like that. And then just every other company should just be aiming mostly for the 30 million that seems to occur for like the smaller games, like the more like refined, focused single player stuff like that. Like that seems to be the better number for them to really aim for. I think they're getting it conflated between the free, every kid can have it, even though it's 300 million, maybe only 10 million actually pay money into it, that kind of thing. Like it's weird.
Like the Xbox, I mean, it's Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, Roblox, Rainbow Six Siege, which that game's from 2016. Yep. We still don't have a new Rainbow Six game. I don't know why they'd make one at this point with how it's doing. I think Starfield was the newest game on that list. That was number 8. I guess Switch is a bit better. Although they did have Mario Kart 8, which is pretty old now. Minecraft, of course, older. And when did Animal Crossing New Horizons come out? What year was that?
2020.
2020.
COVID,
okay, yeah. So that's like 4 years. Okay. But yeah, it was interesting to see that pop up because it made me think of all the time Sean yells about current day gaming now. It's like, well, okay, never mind. People are still playing all the old stuff. So I mean, they're onto something over there. It's not PlayStation 2 stuff, but still, it's stuff some of the stuff people are playing back on the 360.
But you got to wonder, like, think of how many games that had online components that were big that got shut down. If they were still around, would people, still be going back to those games and checking them out and playing them because they're like, well, I tried this newer game that was supposed to, be like a replacement to this, but it's not. So
That's what happens yearly with Battlefield.
yeah,
Every time a new Battlefield comes out, everyone goes to it and goes, nope, and goes back.
And fucking John, and remember when you made us download that and we're like, no, it's good now. It's good now. And it was
Evan,
not
hasn't
good
gotten
now.
better.
What, Bad Company? Or no, the
2042.
latest one?
2042.
It's pretty good now. It's definitely missing some things that I still liked about Bad Company 2 over it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Is it better than okay? Here's the question: is it better than Bad Company 2?
No.
No,
Thank
because
you.
the focus is different, I think.
So why are you trying to make me think?
Because Bad Company 2 is like that. I think that's the best Battlefield.
Yeah, that game was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's the best one. And if that's the best one, if something's like not as good but still okay, then it's still good. But it took them a long time to get there, and now they're moving on to the next one.
Which game?
The Battlefield that John made us download.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible.
Thank you.
It really was.
Maybe they'll do better with the next one. They're working on it now.
I don't think they will. I lose faith every day. Modern gaming.
There's a reason why Call of Duty is so popular and Battlefield has fallen off a cliff. Let's just put it that way.
So they just re-released the old ones.
But if they did Battlefield again, similar to Bad Company 2, where if somebody's in a building, I want to go in that building and
remake that shit. Remake it. That's what fucking Call of Duty's doing. Do the same goddamn thing. That's what the streets want. I want to be able to break through these walls.
That's the thing. You can still break through walls in this one. I think
it's not the same.
It's not the same, but it's nowhere near as good. Bad Company 2, if you blow out enough walls, the whole building would collapse. There's maps in Battlefield 2042 that are from Bad Company 2 that you can't do that on anymore. Like it's just I don't know.
And you know what happened? People like Battlefield Bad Company 2 too much, and they shut it down. Can't have that. You got to play 2042. Yeah, that would be cool though if they remade Bad Company 2. I'd be there for it. That'd be awesome.
I went back and played it recently. I think like a year ago. It still looks great.
Unfortunately, on Xbox 360, doesn't look great. Still played well. It was still cool. So.
It's a whole new world at 120 frames a second.
I was trying to get Sean and them to get it on PC, and Sean was like, "I'm not playing that on PC."
Game on a personal computer. What are you, nuts?
That's what he said.
Like the one behind you.
Or the one I'm using now. But no, I just emulate with that thing.
It'd run fine on the ROG Ally. You'd make it work.
I'm sure it would, but then you'd complain because remember that time I tried to play Halo on the Logitech streaming thing and it was terrible.
Through the cloud.
Halo.
Through the cloud.
Still, it should have worked.
I mean, you were there. You just in spirit, really. Just there in spirit. Yeah. Wasn't great. Wasn't great. Are you going to bed, Sean?
Yeah, I think so. I'm
fucking
tired. All right. I'll stream later this week. Go watch my controversial videos. I'll piss you off or you'll agree with me. And then the next day you'll change your mind because fuck me. All right. Goodbye.
Bye, Sean.
Oh yeah. Hardline was fucking hot too. I liked the Hardline. Remember the Battlefield Hardline game where it was like cops and robbers? That was pretty fire too.
Okay, there you go. That is Sean. All right, let's go over to new Prince of Persia game. We do have another one, so that means we have technically we just had one come out, Lost Crown. Now we have the Rogue Prince of Persia. That's the new one coming up May 14th, early access by the Dead Cells developers, which is Evil Empire is random. Just like, oh yeah, they're gonna make a Prince of Persia game. Seems like something they're gonna develop over time. And then Sands of Time remake. They did go back to the drawing board. They're completely redoing. It's going to look way different than apparently what we saw, according to Insider Gaming, who had the scoop on that one. But it seems like that. I think that might close out the generation, as sad as that sounds. Like it's going to be a while for it. But I saw this game, and it does have an odd art style. Like, although I guess it lines up with Dead Cells and how that looks. It's only PC right now. I'm interested. I don't know, Evan. What do you think early access about? It's early access. How do you feel about where's Steam early access now compared to before?
It's pretty much the same thing. It's still hit or miss. You still need to know which company you're buying it from, because if you get one, it might not go anywhere, and then you just paid for nothing. And sometimes it's actually really good. I still play a lot of really good early access games occasionally. So
I really like Lost Crown. This one looks like it's going to be a roguelike, like Dead Cells. It's going to be like that. I guess the time element plays into it, and it makes sense because you rewind time back to the start of your run, and you try to do it again and again and again. I get that. I don't know. It still is going to feel very much like Lost Crown with a different kind of art style, I think. But I do like the push for Prince of Persia right now. Like, Ubisoft seems serious about this series, this franchise. Maybe they'll actually do something with it in the future.
yeah, they'll burn it out over a very short period of time.
I mean, they are doing. I feel like Sands of Time remake, if it didn't get the pushback it did, it'd probably be out by now, which means we'd have 3 Prince of Persia games in like a year and a half. So you might be right with that one.
No,
but they also might be on to, the next Prince of Persia by now, a new one if it sold well enough, because Ubisoft Montreal, I believe, is working on Sands of Time, and they are like one of their top studios. They're very good. So I'm really hoping they're going to pull that one off. They said they're going to make the visuals look much more realistic. They're going to be higher quality. The gameplay is going to be altered slightly. So it's I'm hopeful for that. What'd you think, MVG? Did this catch your eye at all, MVG?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. What about OJ? Is this anything you looked at and were like, maybe I'll try?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Dead Cells developers is cool, but like the art style wasn't necessarily vibe. I wasn't vibing.
It also looks like a slower Dead Cells. I don't. Did anybody else get that feeling?
Yeah,
like I was watching, I was like, this looks like it's not meant for people who enjoyed Dead Cells.
I mean, I think Max said that he played the game. He said it was fun. So apparently, people say it's fun. They play it, but I don't know. I wasn't in love with the art style. I'll be honest. Like I thought it was whether people are purple, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with purple people, but like I watched that. Remember that show, Doug? Like who's purple people in that show? That show was lit. But I don't know about this.
It might be one to keep an eye on. If it's early access, they're going to be building. Like Baldur's Gate 3 was an early access for how long, Evan? Before they released that, I feel like it was a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was years when I first played that opening chapter.
Yeah, I remember watching Pro Jared play it like 2-3 years ago or something like that.
It's probably going to be a bit for this one in early access. And who knows? Maybe it'll be worth checking out at that time. So that's kind of my view on it right now. It's cool. I'm glad Ubisoft is seemingly all in on Prince of Persia right now, or at least to the point where they keep greenlighting projects and little games and stuff. But we'll see what that remake.
When you look at it though, it's like they're both. Like if you look at like Lost Crown looks so much more cooler. Than
it does.
You see the Lost Crown, and you're like, then you see this, you're like, Lost Crown looks like the same game, but like, wait, obviously it's not a rogue game though, right? But like, I don't know. I've got and like they're creating new content for Lost Crown, right? So unless you really like rogue games, I don't know. I want to just Lost Crown's not selling like crazy. I want to just pick up Lost Crown and check out all the new content that's coming to that game.
I saw it at Walmart,
right? It's probably already cheap.
Yeah.
I saw it at Walmart the other day. It was like $25 physical on the PS5.
And there's new free content that they're adding to the game, and it's all you can just download it. So I mean, I don't know. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I don't want to say that the game's going to be bad because Dead Cells developers they're good. So
Hellblade 2, we got some news on it. Big stuff. Hellblade 2 is going to be 30 frames per second. And this was a whole thing online, mostly on the Xbox Series. Obviously, if you're on PC, like if Evan gets the game, it's going to be whatever frame rate he can push it to, 60, 120, whatever, right? That's fine. But a lot of the conversation was obviously with the Xbox being a system that obviously when it was coming out was touted as eating monsters for breakfast, that kind of thing. Sure, we've been through that, but it is going to be 30 FPS. We've had this with Microsoft, with Redfall and others, but I think when we heard from the developers about it and they mentioned it was cinematic, that's why, because it's cinematic. Is that something that that you believe, MVG, that it's cinematic?
I think it's good marketing.
Yeah,
it's good spin. Good spin.
Yeah. I swear, John, do I have deja vu? Did we not talk about this last week? I swear we talked about this last week.
Last week. You know what it is? I think it's because Evan wasn't here and I was going to ask him about it. And then I slipped it and I put it in the notes and I was going to go to Evan, but I went to you.
Before Evan says what he wants to say, just to quickly reiterate what I said last week. I feel like this game obviously is very ambitious. It's been in development since It was announced in 2019. We don't know when it actually started its development. It's been in the works for a very, very long time. It's also gone through an engine swap from UE4 to UE5 as well during that process. So for me, I feel like them coming out and saying 30 FPS is just marketing speak, honestly. Like, they probably tried to get the game running at 60, but because it's at least what people say, or there's a lot of hype that it's one of the best looking games of the generation or something like that. I've heard some sound bites around that kind of talk. It sounds like they just couldn't get there right with this game, so they just made the decision to say, "Yep, it's going to be a cinematic 30 FPS, and you're going to enjoy it." But I mean, Starfield, Redfall, this is another game, right? And you could say, well, Starfield is a open world game, and I'm using air quotes when I say that. Redfall is an outdoorsy shooting game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
don't apologize for that game. Stop it.
But this is different. This is a corridor-based walking game, right? With some combat, like some one-on-one combat sequences, which I would say the camera is very much zoomed in on the action. I think there's going to be a lot of large kind of geometry on screen. So I am curious as to why they couldn't get it at 60. But as I said last week, they should have given people the option to do the 120, 40 FPS mode if they couldn't get 60. But anyway, that's where we're at.
I will. I'll actually move on from that one since we did discuss it last week anyway. The Fallout. Okay, so let's go to Fallout actually, because there's two parts to this. I didn't know, Evan, did you have a chance to watch any of the show?
Nah.
Let's go with you. Okay. Oh, did you have a chance to watch any of the Fallout show on Amazon Prime?
I did. I watched.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
I think episode 4, about halfway through. I know I'm 3 episodes for sure. I think I'm somewhere in episode 4. I maybe finished episode 4. And yeah, it's better than the game. So yeah, I'd rather watch the Fallout show than play that game. I mean, that's just me though. And like I said, if you like the Fallout games, they're cool, but I've played and I honestly rather watch the show for me than even go back and play. It's fun. And I know there's some like lore issues that some people brought up in my stream too, but I think it's cool. It's fast paced. The acting's good. It fits. You can tell that Todd Howard and the guys were involved in the process of the show. There's so many little things here and there. If you know Fallout, which I know the lore, I played the games and watched all the retrospectives and things like that. So it's cool. I like how they have it based off of like 3 separate, like iconic characters, right? It's pretty cool. It's like you have like the Vault Dweller, you have the Ghoul, and you have like Brotherhood and Steel. Like that is awesome, and how they all kind of like intertwine and their paths cross, and they it's cool. I like it. I think it's really good, and I enjoy it. And I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna watch it. I think I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Is
probably.
it 30 FPS and does it feel cinematic?
It feels cinematic. It actually it's funny because it feels like kind of cheap at times. Like some of when the Brotherhood is still like when the dude's flying, it looks like you can tell he's like on the little
the
hoist. Yeah, it looks so fake at times. And I think when Lucy first leaves the vault, that vault looks fake as hell. You can tell that it was kind of like some stuff looks really good. Like some of the graphics and all that look, or like the special effects more like it look.
They have some good shots of like the wastelands. And, those shots where nothing's being said, but you get a look at like the landscape and they look. It definitely looks like Fallout.
Yeah,
is what I'll say. I think I am up to episode 5 right now, OJ. So I'm like right where you are, basically.
Yeah. I really like who's the guy who plays the Ghoul. That dude, he's a great actor, man. Like he that Ghoul part, I love. That's why like my favorite character. Lucy's cool too. You can kind of see how she's adapting as it goes on, and it's really good. Like I like how all like the little things, like the Pit Boy, like the rad meter, like how like if somebody has like radiation, it's like the little ticking sounds. These are all the things that would probably get lost if the people weren't involved. Like all the little things with Fallout. It's all there, and even other little Easter eggs and stuff too. So if you're a fan of, even if you're not a fan of the Fallout games, I think it's still pretty good. My wife is watching it with me too, and she thinks it's cool. So,
Gene says Walton. Is that Goggins.
Yeah,
Yes.
Walton Goggins.
Yeah, Walton Goggins.
He's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he plays the ghoul in there, and it's like dope just to see how it all kind of comes together. I like it.
It's very believable that he would be like a cowboy.
Yeah,
kind of character there. how he looks and like there's that role.
And it's brutal, man. It's
it is. It's very
it is.
violent. I'm a little surprised how violent it is at times.
I am too. It's very like there was one. Am I gonna? Is this a finger scene?
It might be. Whatever you're about to say. Whatever got cut off of somebody or blown up.
Okay,
or
that's a spoiler then. Okay, never mind. I won't say it, but there was one scene that happened to the main character, and I was like, oh, they just did that, like right there. But it was cool how it gets resolved. You're like, oh wow, how is she going to be able to, move? And they resolved it pretty cool.
They did do the thing where it almost looked like they stopped and they were picking which limb to shoot at one point. And like the person's head explodes from the shot.
Like the VATS. It has like a little bit of like the VATS. Like there's like a scene where like a lot of it kind of happens. Like they don't overload you with it though. It's not like every single time people are going into VATS and they don't do all that. Like at least they haven't shown any like on screen like hit percentages. No, they haven't done all that. But you can clearly tell there was like a moment they're like, okay, yeah, like that's like the VATS part, right? Of like at least the first, couple episodes. So that was cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
How many episodes are there? I saw Gene in the chat that he already went. Eight.
Yeah.
8. Okay, so I'm halfway done. Yeah. I do like how different each character feels. I will say, MG, you just finished up episode 1.
I've watched the first episode, and I got to be honest, wasn't really feeling it. But people keep telling me keep watching it. It gets better. So I'm gonna at least watch like the first 3 or 4, and then it was good. I like the premise. I like the way it started. I definitely like the scene at the start, if you know what I'm talking about, that kind of kicks everything off in the first episode. That was really well done. But there's definitely some parts of the show that feels really cheap, to me. Yeah. And it's kind of taking me out of it a little bit, but it's not enough for me to stop watching it. I'm going to keep watching it, and because people really like it. It's kind of getting universally praised, so I'm going to check out the whole season and see where we're at.
They're starting to do stuff where they're introducing like little mysteries or things for you to think about. Like they're throwing these little things in there where I'm like, okay, that's going to turn into a plot line here soon, or they're going to look into something with another faction, that kind of thing, and they're going to start intertwining these stories, and it's becoming interesting because there is some mystery involved now, and it's. I like what I'm seeing with it. It's better than I was expecting, because whenever these kind of things get brought up and announced years in advance or even months, I'm like, how are they going to make that into a show? What's that going to look like? But then you get pleasantly surprised by this, and it's like, okay, I get it now. This is actually well done.
MVG, keep watching, because there's some really funny parts too. Like it's funny. Like the show's actually legitimately kind of funny, like with some of the stuff that happens in there, which like had me like busting up laughing. Brotherhood of Steel stuff can be very funny as well at times. Like certain things that happen with the Brotherhood of Steel is really funny if you just keep watching. So I enjoy any parts with any of the Brotherhood of Steel. I think it's cool. So yeah, I'm impressed. I didn't think I was gonna watch it, but then I was like, it was being advertised everywhere. As soon as I turned on my Vizio, it's like watch Fallout. It's everywhere. So I'm like, let me try it. I'm like, okay, it's pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah, so I'll wrap it up this week and give some of my thoughts on it next week during the podcast, some spoiler-free thoughts on it. So, but we did also get an announcement for an update. So there was I can't believe they're still calling it this, but the next gen update that's coming to next gen consoles for Fallout 4. This is an update I believe was talked about last year, I think, and it got delayed. But now it is coming out April 25th, so about 2 weeks. And while the primary focus is on the Xbox Series and PS5 for improvements when it comes to visuals in terms of resolution and 60 FPS, it will also Steam Deck verify Fallout 4, which is obviously good on that side. And I think they're also going to do widescreen support for PC, which is something they had to attain through mod support to get it there. In this case, it'll just be native, so it'll already be built in. But this is going to be an Xbox Series and PS5 native version. I've thought about going back to it. I think I'm going to download it because it's a free update, and I already obviously have the game through Game Pass, and I think I even owed a physical copy of it on the Xbox. It's been a long time since I've gone back to Fallout 4. I think I played it that holiday and then into like that first quarter, which was like 2015 to 2016, I believe. And I haven't gone back to it really much since then. So it's legitimately been like almost 9 years, or almost 9 years since I've played it. I don't know. Are you MVG, you going back to Fallout 4?
No, I've beaten the game, John. There's no reason for me to go back and play it again. It's a good game. I played it many years ago. I enjoyed it. A next-gen patch. It's so cute, Microsoft doing what they do. They're so excited about this little patch for a game that came out literally like 9 years ago. Like, what are we doing here? Like, let's get some meat on the bone here. Not a next-gen patch for Fallout 4 in 2024. Come on, guys. People
are going back to the game. Did you hear 200% increase from like 4 people to like 16 people now playing? No, they did announce that there is more people now since the show came out. There's a boost in people playing the game now. So maybe that's why
they did it wrong. They should have sold the update. They should have sold it. $10 easy right there. Now, I do at least like that a lot of these updates they're just free. If you own it, fine. Here you go. It's not like some kind of charge to go up to it, which, yeah, I mean, we see Sony do that for a lot of their stuff. But in this case, it's just an update. So I think that's great. But ended up being good timing. This, I think, was supposed to have come out months ago, and now it's going to come out a couple of weeks after the show debuted. So I do wonder if people just from seeing the show might want to check out the game. And they could end up with just a sales boost there on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, and maybe even on PC. So who knows? Maybe it could lead to Game Pass subscriptions even. But I think I'm going to go back and fire it up again. I don't know if I'm going to play all the way through it. If I was going to play all the way through a Fallout game again, I think I would play all the way through Fallout New Vegas because it has been actually quite a bit since I've played through that one. So I think that's what I would do. If
what about the original isometric games on
PC? The good ones.
I never got into those.
Yeah, never got into them. Now we're talking.
Get into the Wastelander stuff now.
I remember Fallout 3 popped up, and that's where it started for me, was Fallout 3.
I went back. I played Fallout 3 first. I went back and played Fallout 1 and 2. I don't like them, but I can see why people think those games are way better because of the narrative and stuff like that.
Okay.
And like the options that you can do, like the different options and things that you can do in Fallout 1 and 2, like those games are pretty cool.
I just, never, I just, they never clicked with me, or I never.
Yeah, that ain't click with me either. I don't like them. I don't like playing them, but I think like the lore is cool. Like if you watch like a retrospective on it, all that stuff is dope. Like what they do in the games.
Okay. Well, there is an update. If you haven't played Fallout 4, I do recommend it actually. I think it's a fun game. Some people didn't like the building stuff, but it didn't bother me too much. I thought it was still interesting. A little wrinkle to the game. Okay. Here we go. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's not doing great in terms of sales. Actually, I think it was Z. I think Z Hughes shared this, right? I want to make sure I have this correct.
Zooge. Say it with Zooge.
I call him Z Huge.
Zooge. It's like
I call him all kinds of stuff.
Like huge with a Z in front of it.
Zooge.
Okay.
I'm gonna call them Daniel. That's their name on
Twitter.
Twitter. On X. Zooge EX.
Zooge.
Right? Okay, thank you, MVG. Anyway, they were kind enough to let us in on how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is doing, and then they immediately tweeted that they understand why they don't publicly comment on sales performance of a game anymore. They said because people lose their minds if you tell them their favorite franchise didn't sell a bajillion copies. This in reference to apparently Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is selling about half of what Remake did at this time if you align them, which is not the direction that Square Enix would want to go in for this game. Now, I feel like Final Fantasy VII Remake was already kind of like, I thought this would have done a little better because it's 7, and you feel like the fan base would be there and they would have shown up in droves and would have done some crazy numbers. But it hasn't, and then Rebirth is even lower than that, to where, I mean, Final Fantasy 16 is outsold it basically, launch aligned, right? It's outselling it. We have Rising Tide coming up for 16, so it might even get a little more interest from that. I don't know. MG. MG and I went all the way through it. We did 2 separate videos. It's posted up now on the network, so people can check that out there. And it was an interesting conversation, but we definitely had some conclusions based on the story that I do feel like MVG, you're onto something with the remake ending that it just lost some people.
Yeah, look, I can't really tell you exactly what's happened here with this, but I can only speculate based on my thoughts and the impressions of the game, and then kind of looking around at everyone else. Like I look at, you know, Josie's demographic, which, yeah, you can kind of disregard and say young, you know, Zoomers, they don't count, but they absolutely count in this scenario, because I feel like Square Enix didn't do a great job in attracting new fans, new people to Final Fantasy VII, right? And I think that was part of the goal for this remake kind of franchise that they're working on. And they're in a bit of a spot right now because the second game's come out. It hasn't sold very well. It's probably undersold what they thought and what I certainly thought. I kind of felt like it would come out of the gate selling better than 16. In hindsight, that's probably a little naive and a little, you know, misleading for me to say that. But honestly, like, I felt like on paper, this should be a home run for them. This should be an absolute slam dunk for them. And they've completely missed the mark here. So I think, man, I think they're in trouble, you know, with this third game. The third game could be an absolute masterpiece, but the difficulty they're going to have now is trying to get people back on board with Final Fantasy VII. And I don't know what the answer is here. This is a really bad spot to be in, I think, when you have 3 games and you just completed the second one and your sales are falling off a cliff. Like, that is a really kind of scary situation to be in. So I'm curious to see where they go from here.
Yeah, especially since if we're now to assume that, I mean, we figure you do because of the setup, like, it's a trilogy. You have to have played Rebirth, which to play Rebirth, you'd have to have played Remake. So we get to the third one. I don't think they're going to pull in many new people from there either. And you know what? They might have lost people with Rebirth. It's very possible.
They might have.
I kind of think they're trending in the wrong direction completely with this one in terms of this, unless something crazy happens and all of a sudden sales pick up for the holidays and they get to next year and they're like, oh, we're at 5 million or 6 million sold. We're good. This is tough, MVG. You're right. Them breaking into 3 games obviously was a risk, because if they lose somebody, the people halfway through, they're not coming back for the third one. And I think the third one will probably underperform Rebirth. And that's not good. So they did say they're going to try to get the third one out by 2027. That's the plan.
Good luck. I mean, listen, guys, man, like, I thought like MVG in terms of, I thought maybe it was going to do a bit better, but yeah, that is kind of naive if you look at it, because like install base, there's lots of other things, but one of the things is like my brother, he's a big Final Fantasy fan, huge Final Fantasy fan, loves Final Fantasy VII. That's his favorite one. And one thing that he told me about, and this, you know, this is people that they're trying to sell the game to as well. He's like, they split it up. He really disliked that. And I think people disregarded that when people said, why are they splitting up? People said, oh, you're just being whatever, brokey, blah, 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 saying whatever type of things to people when people would say, why are they splitting it up? But I think that's a bigger issue than people want to admit. He's like, look, if I want to play the whole thing, get the whole experience, and he's old school, you know, he's old school. He likes to have all of his, like, you buy the game, you get the full experience, right? He doesn't buy a lot of the newer games. He just buys what he really wants. And he told me, he's like, hey man, like, I don't like the fact that I have to spend $200 to get the full experience, or I have to, it's across multiple generations. One's on PS4, one's on PS5. Is the next one going to be on PS6, PS5
Probably.
Pro? Like, it's across multiple generations. It's multiple games. I got to spend $200 something to get the full experience. I got to wait multiple years in between. That's not the Final Fantasy game that I wanted to play. Like, I wanted Final Fantasy VII how it was, but with better graphics and expanded, you know? And he told me like RE2, you know, he told me like something like that. Like, I wanted it like how I remembered, but expanded and better graphics. What is all this? What is all this nonsense? You know? So I think that is where they're kind of running into problems. Like, I thought it would be cool, right, to have all these different games, but hindsight, looking back, like, is all this really worth it? You know, I mean, maybe for some people, but I don't know if multiple generations, 10 years, $200 something, multiple releases. Like, I just don't know. In hindsight's 2020, but I just don't know if this was a good idea looking at it now, you know, looking at it now, instead of just maybe getting us Final Fantasy VII with a dope upgraded ATB battle system and expanding upon that and taking maybe 7 years or 6 years or whatever to make that game and releasing it on PS4, PS5, PC, boom, all at once, you know? But
I think you came up with the solve MVG a little while ago, because we had talked about how they're going to approach this after all 3 games are out, which if they're out by 2027, technically they can line things up for next generation between the next Xbox, the next PlayStation. I assume they'll probably push it to Nintendo's next system. It'll be on PC. I think you're right when you say they'll do some kind of big box collection, or if it's a digital thing, they might just say it's one game now. It's 300 hours or something crazy. It's one game. You can buy it, and we're going to count those as sales too.
Yeah, I could see that happening, but man, I just don't know where it went wrong here. You know, like this is pretty bad. You know, when you really look at this. But look, I'm still gonna check out the third part because I definitely want to see where the story goes and. But yeah, man, this is not good. You know, Square has to really sit down and figure out where they messed up here and hopefully try to course correct it for the next game if they can. And look, I think there's nothing wrong with the tech that's being used in the game or the engine and a lot of the things that are in the game. But ultimately, to OJ's point, or your brother, you mentioned your brother saying, "Look, I don't want to have 3 parts. I just want a updated experience of the original story." And look, I've heard that a lot from other people, and that's kind of how I kind of feel about it as well. Like, you took a game that is a 35 to 45 hour game, that most people would beat, and you kind of spanned it across 3 discs. I mean, it took me 40 hours just to beat the Rebirth's main story without doing anything else. And I think Remake was around 25 hours I took to beat that. And the next game is probably going to be, we can say between 30 to 50 hours. They've just completely just expanded this to a point where it's almost unmanageable. Like it kind of reminds me of Shenmue in some ways, where it's like, we're waiting for the next part. We're waiting, 3-4 years for the next part. People grow up, people move on, people's lives change. Like, I don't really know if that works in video games in the same way it does with movies. I think ultimately they should have just taken more time and just given us one game, a nice meaty 60-hour game based on the original story with enhancements. And I think that would have ultimately done a lot better for them.
More approachable. These sequels just are not going to be approachable. Like the third one, unless they somehow, some way can figure out how to bring in new people with it, which I don't think there is a way. You just got to get the game out and move on, I think is what that's I think one of the reasons they're going to get this thing out. They're saying by 2027. Apparently voiceover work and stuff was already rolling for it. They already have the world. They're going to use the same world. It's going to be built out already. So it's we'll see. But I do wonder, because 16, I would say 16, the sales for Final Fantasy and what we would expect from it, a bit softer. Now that is obviously PS5 install size. I get it for a numbered Final Fantasy. But yeah, I think you do have to also bring up the fact that it's just a PlayStation 5 game. There is no other platform to sell it to right now for either 16 or 7 Rebirth.
Well, see, that's the other thing. Hopefully they have a Switch 2 dev kit and they're already making plans to get these games on there.
That's where I'd move it. I'd move it right there ASAP if I could.
That's a bit of a Hail Mary, and there's definitely no guarantees of success there, but hey, at least you're expanding your customer base significantly, right? So hopefully they got plans to do that at some point.
It's interesting you mentioned that, MVG, because 16 I think would be the next one up. I think 16 can go. That could be on. I think that might be on Xbox later this year. Even I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. You're right. If they had a Switch 2 dev kit and they got 16 out in the launch year for the next Nintendo system, I feel like that would be a fairly big deal for them and Nintendo to market together.
Yeah,
I'd be like on your Final Fantasy returning to Nintendo platform, big numbered series, that kind of thing for one of the newer ones. I think that'd be pretty cool to see, and that would probably boost sales. But still, Rebirth is the one they're trying to just get more people on board for, and that's got to go to PC as soon as they can. I also wonder, how do you think Sony feels about all this stuff? Because
probably not good.
Not great. I would think they're probably asking questions about it as well. Like, well, what has happened here? What's going on?
Also, the $70 price tag for and I know it's worth the actual like content wise you get the value in there, but I think another problem is that like I'm not sure if everybody else thinks it's if it's worth 70 based off of like the sales of Final Fantasy, like the previous Final Fantasy games. Does everybody else think like Josie's demographic people who does everybody else think that it's worth 70 as well? I'm not so sure about that. And launching it, we didn't talk about this, but launching it, there was Like a Dragon, Persona 3, there was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, there was a ton of games in that same month or right around that. Like so many RPGs that just ate up people's money. I mean, people don't got infinite amounts of money to spend on games or time. They might have the money, but they don't have the time, So
yeah. I mean, there's some people some friends I'll talk to who are not at all like plugged into gaming and stuff like that, but they like Final Fantasy, and they were not excited for Rebirth. Apparently, Remake just turned them off from the idea of it being 3 parts, the whole thing, like that game, going through it and what it turned into. They're like, I'm good. Maybe it'll go on PlayStation Plus, or maybe it'll be cheap at the end of the year or something. I'll check it out then. It's like
Helldivers.
Wow.
Everyone's buying Helldivers instead.
Yeah.
PS5 owners. We get Helldivers.
Helldivers is $40 though, right?
Yeah, it's 40.
Yeah. That's then it has like the war bond stuff with it. I think you can still earn that in game, but either way, that's definitely sucking up people's time. Yeah. But still, Final Fantasy is supposed to be a thing, man. That comes out. Doesn't matter what's around it. It's
all right.
Fantasy.
Evan, PC Final Fantasy Rebirth. Are you on?
Don't care.
No.
Oh man,
there's your answer. There's your answer.
I played that on
Okay.
PC the whole way through after it dropped. And by the end of it, I was just like,
so you got your fill. You got your fill with. You said I'm good. I don't need to know what happens.
I mean, you say fill, but you get to the end, you feel hungry, and you're just like, I don't want to do that again.
Wow,
It was just boring the whole way through. I did not have fun playing it.
What about an original number one like 16? Is that at all interested in you? Like for you, it's more of an action kind of game.
Not exactly, not necessarily. Final Fantasy as a title, they all feel very like, I guess samey. It's always like some religious order is the villain or something behind. Like it's the same shit, and they're just like, here, do it again, and it's like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. Just move on. Like I want to go. It needs to be
wildly different in your mind if they do like when they do 17. You're looking for
something. But that's the thing. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to keep doing Final Fantasy and just rewashing the same stuff over and over and trying to resell it to me. You're a company. You can make new games. Like go for it. Try it once in a while. I don't know.
Oh, Square Enix definitely doing 17. That's coming.
No, yeah, they are.
Although Dragon Quest 12 might come out after. Who knows at this point? That might come out after 17. Jeez. What kind of stuff happening over there too? People getting demoted and stuff out of the producer role. It's
Evan, you should play 16 when it comes out on PC just for the
lulls.
The battles,
I think battles. You might like 16, Evan, because you have
here's the thing
for the big shonen like battles and stuff and like
but okay. I love big battles if I feel like what I'm doing in that fight actually matters. If at any point it's like press A to summon something and watch a movie, and it's like, all right, I don't care anymore.
There is that, but there's also some strategy involved. There's definitely quick time events.
There are.
It's pretty button mashy though. I mean,
it's just button mash.
When you play back through it, what they do with the quick time events, they just don't show you what button to press when you're doing like the hard mode. Just funny. You have to remember like what to press there. But they're the big icon battles are pretty impressive. Like on screen, I assume on PC they're gonna look crazy.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is watch a YouTube video at 4K. Well, like that's literally what you're telling me.
The battle on foot is still pretty good too.
I'm looking to play a game, not choose a way through a movie.
Have you ever played the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games? You should play those.
Old ones, yeah. Same crap. The DBZ ones where the whole point was just to get to the character's super move so you could watch the movie and that was it. Like
good times. Those are good times. They had the Frieza spaceship. Can pick up Frieza, bring him back. Yeah, you're good to go. I don't know. If 16's on sale, Evan, you should give it a shot. If it's on sale and you find it, you're just
I'm
gonna
gonna put it at a $5 point.
By the way, I just want
at
to
least a half hour.
I just want to make sure I was joking with that Naruto joke. I can't stand those Ultimate Ninja Storm cutscene games. People out here are gassing those games up as if they're good. I can't stand the Naruto fan base. All of them are just a bunch of.
I mean, that's the basic issue with anime games, though, because they have to make the game while the anime is awesome, like while it's in everyone's head, and they're never sure if it's going to crash, so they have to make games faster than anyone. So they just make them.
Dude, they've been making the same game for 13 years. They had for 13 Ultimate Ninja Storm for 13, 14 years now. It's the same game.
Friggin' Demon Slayer got their game. It was basically just Naruto reskinned.
It was a skin swap. No, I talked about this. It was a
thing.
freaking skin swap. It was the same sound effects, the same edge. Oh my god! I was like, you gotta be kidding
It's the same company, and I know they have they've got it down to a science. They have a package that they just go into when these new animes come out. They're like, we got this 1 year.
Demon Slayer game sold so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Oh my god, I'm disgusted. But new Hunter x Hunter game's coming out. That's going to be actually like a real fighting game. So let's go.
You say that, okay?
It's developed by Aiding. They made Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and they made the Clash of Ninja series, which is like it's like.
What was the development time turnaround on it?
For what?
For this game? How long?
I don't know how long. I mean, I don't know how long it's been in development. They haven't stated. But
if they hit the 4-year mark, yeah, probably.
I trust Aiding, and I trust them because they made Clash of Ninja. That's a great series, and they made Ultimate Ninja, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So I trust them over freaking Bandai Namco. Sorry about that, John. Let's keep it moving.
All right, you're fine. We do have a new hire over at Nintendo. Gio Corsi. They joined Nintendo of America's AAA third-party games portfolio management team. They previously worked as head of global second-party games at Sony Interactive Entertainment, and I guess at this point they would be working to create or manage third-party relations between large publishers or developers with Nintendo. They're also former head of commercial at Iron Galaxy Studios and chief product officer of Ilphonic. So they've been around the industry for a bit now, and this, of course, is on the way up to what we assume to be Nintendo eventually announcing or talking about their next generation platform. We just talked about the potential for Square Enix and Final Fantasy 16 maybe showing up there if Square is going to try to make that push and expand some of their sales on these different titles. And this actually got quite a bit of coverage, which is interesting because to me it seems like a position was there and Nintendo ended up hiring this person, probably offering them a decent wage to get them on board. And now they're going to go out and try to get more third-party support for Nintendo. And I do wonder what kind of support they'll be able to get with their next device, as we talked about diminishing returns and other things setting in. And also kind of a focus on ARM, where Microsoft might even go towards ARM-based stuff with their next-gen device. That's kind of up with Doom and Wolfenstein, and we had Witcher and that sort of thing on the current Switch. Do you think we're going to have more of those kind of like blow you away moments when it comes to third-party games on Nintendo's next platform, as this person would obviously with that on that team would work into it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the impossible ports, as we call them, there's going to be something that comes out on we're making a lot of assumptions, of course, but assuming this is a hybrid device, it's like the successor to the Switch. It's basically a more powerful device in your hand. Hybrid, can be docked, all the same gimmicks. Then yes, I think there will be a scenario where there's going to be some game that kind of punches above its weight, third-party game. I think it's the nature of the industry for some developers to see how far they can push their games. So yeah, absolutely. I think we'll definitely see that. I'm more curious about
some of the third-party relations this person may be able to come up with. I mean, like Rockstar is always Rockstar is always one that comes up as, can they get the next big Grand Theft Auto on the Switch? But at this point, the publisher, I feel like they would have to try to figure out is like EA with some of these sports titles, because that just always seems to be this thing where it's like, okay, is Madden finally going to come to the Switch this year? No, okay, maybe next year. Sean asked about that a lot, but even like FC, it was like pulling teeth just to get a normal version of that game on the Switch. And next generation with Nintendo, whatever they show up with, you feel like it would be at least be a play for EA to have the same game across the board. on these different platforms. But OJ, do you think it's going to be a big focus on third party for next gen?
I don't know about a big focus, but I think more of getting some of those games that, you know, didn't come to the Switch or whatever, right? Switch got way more third party support than the 3DS or obviously like the Wii U, right? But now I think it's taking it to the next step and kind of getting some of that other stuff that should have came over and didn't come over. You're seeing other things too. Like I know like they got a better relationship, like Bandai Namco, like some of the studios and things that they're doing there. So I think that's just kind of getting some of those games that are kind of like no-brainers, getting those games. I think that's going to be the thing. And yeah, Rockstar would be good, you know, but they got some Rockstar games, right? On Switch.
They did. They had the LA Noire, they had the Grand Theft Auto trilogy.
Yeah. So that's definitely better than what they usually do.
Oh, sure.
which is mainly nothing from Rockstar. The Wii had support. So we had like Manhunt, had a few different things. But yeah, I think it's it's definitely a good thing, right? It's definitely it wouldn't be a bad thing. Plus there's some other things that are kind of like happening that make me like some things like kind of like behind the scenes that I've seen that are like, oh, okay, they're actually kind of like maybe getting ready for something else, you know? So yeah, it looks like it's coming up, man. Looks like it's coming up, like something's about to be announced or something's going to happen soon. So
I will admit, when MVG mentioned the impossible ports, I feel like I've been kind of desensitized to that a little bit with the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and like these PC handheld devices, more so than when we saw Doom running on the Switch and like, you know, years and years and years ago. But if they were able to get Grand Theft Auto 6 on the next platform, that would actually shock. Like I'd be like, okay, that feels like that impossible port hitting again.
Let's get 5 on there first. Let's get 4 on there first.
Here's 6 for the other systems. Here's 5 for Nintendo.
People would probably be like, "All right, I'll play it."
It would still sell really well if they brought 5 to the Switch or the Switch 2. It'd still sell a lot of units, man. Especially if they have online on there. Damn.
It would probably do very, very well. But that is the one that would actually surprise me if they got 6 running on the next system. I think, okay, that feels like the impossible port all over again.
I'd be surprised because didn't like Digital Foundry say like don't even expect like even like with the leaked specs of like PS5 Pro for it to even run at 60 frames for
that's what I mean. That's why it surprised me. Like, what? Yeah. Not even that, but even the storage side of things, because that's a game I feel like is probably going to be a pretty large game as well. And storage has come up constantly with Nintendo's.
And we still don't even know. Like, there hasn't been any type of leaks or anything on like what Nintendo's doing for like their next storage solution. But obviously, I mean, it would have to be something obviously like way better than the standard 16 gigabytes. That was which some developers didn't even want to use 16 gigabytes. They didn't want to pay for that. You know,
the cartridges.
Go like with 8 and then like make you download the rest or some stupid thing like that. So I think that's going to be the most interesting thing is like, what are they doing for storage? Like for the cart, you know, and
it's been pretty quiet.
High does it go? Yeah. How high does it go on that? We haven't heard anything on that. So
not really much of anything on Nintendo's system at all, other than the directs coming out of 4chan or something. Let me go over to I'm excited to see what the third party support looks like from Nintendo's when they launch the Switch versus the next system, because I mean they can only plan for what they had in the past. The Switch is incredibly successful, so I feel like third parties will be falling over themselves to get to the next system. So I think it'll be fun to see what makes it in on some of these directs when they're ready to talk.
I know Japanese third parties are like they're raring to go because they're losing out on a lot of sales right now. It's just like you see a game like let's say Grand Blue, or you see a game like Persona 3 Reload, and they do okay in Japan for the first week or two, and then they're completely gone. Like Dragon's Dogma is not even in the top 30 anymore, right? That's a game that should have a little bit more in terms of sales.
Got Momotaro Densetsu in there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's definitely something that Japanese third parties for sure they're going to be ready. So
sure. Go over to some of the super chats here as we finish up. We have Andy Taylor, who says, I spent hundreds on digital in the PS3 era, dozens on PS4, and 0 on digital PS5, Xbox, and Switch. Lessons learned. I want to play what I want when I want.
Preach.
Qbert says, happy our favorite Nintendo YouTuber is back. Let's see. Oh, Bass Music Reaction says, wait a second, MVG said something. You're expecting the Saru. That's awesome. I want one. Are you making a video on it? That would be awesome.
Yes. When I get it, I did order one from AliExpress a couple of days ago. When it comes in, I will review one on the channel. I'm excited about it. And for those people that don't know, it's a new flash card for the Sega Saturn, which is very cheap. And it doesn't require you to open up the system and remove the CD drive and replace it with a optical drive emulator. It's just a cartridge. You just plug it in the cartridge. The loading on it is super fast. It's like seconds, like 2 seconds of the game's loaded. So it looks really good. I want to check it out. So yeah, I'll be reviewing one when it comes in.
My only hang-up has been I don't think we have an HDMI out solution for the Saturn yet, like I do for the 64 Dreamcast. That's right. When that happens, I will be on that cartridge if your video recommends it and it turns out well. So I will keep an eye out for that video and I will put an order in if it's good. Let's see. Grandman says Hellblade TV series or movie incoming. I mean, that's kind of the game's going to be very narrative focused, so will kind of already be there almost. Kind of, yeah. Gab says, have you guys heard about Graggle Simpson? That would have been a Sean question.
We've done this before, like a while back. We did the whole Graggle thing, which was weird. Yeah, super weird.
Brian says, MVG right.
I think he's referring to me going to the AEW match and with the signage.
The sign.
I like it.
A solid sign. Do a little head
Mistakes
of the
were made.
bottom right.
Prepare for disappointment.
They might take that personally in the ring. Jeez. You just put that up whenever, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Axiom says, I want to turn my PS4 Pro into an emulation station. What's my best option?
So, as someone who has hacked their PS4 and has messed around with homebrew and emulators, making an emulation station isn't probably the best move. I would honestly, man, I would probably almost go the mini PC option if you want to do that, because the problem with the PS4 Pro is it's only going to get you so far. It's going to run maybe up to Sega Saturn games okay. As far as I know, there's not a decent N64 solution for it at the moment. So honestly, I'd go the mini PC. I'd probably just install Linux on there and maybe install Steam and do it that way. But
so what you're saying is hollow it out and put a mini PC inside of it.
Maybe.
There's some mini PCs floating around eBay right now that can play up to like PS2 and 360, and they're less than $100.
That's crazy. I
have one actually. I need to make a video on that eventually. I'm working on my Vista Alienware right now. Gosh. Travel says RGT 85 WM 40 WrestleMania 40 was the best WrestleMania ever. Epic finale. Dark Dream says RGT SBI is behind Outlaws and everything to do is intentional to get anger. Sean's not here. He left too soon. Cristobal says, I never played a Fallout game. I just enjoyed and binged watched new Fallout series. I want to now play them. Would Fallout 4 be a good entry game?
Yes, it would be. It's probably the most accessible of the Fallout games for someone jumping in for the first time.
The nice thing, though, I will say, is all the Fallout games now on the Xbox Series are 60 frames after this update.
Yep, and you don't have to go through the painfully slow loading times that people did back in the day, especially if you get into Fallout 3. So, yeah, have fun.
Yeah. Hellman says Battlefield 3 was the peak. People like Battlefield 3 as well. That was a good one. Bad Company 2, though, something about those exploding buildings, and that was it.
Yeah, I think if it was Battlefield 3 was after it, I'm pretty sure my friend went to Battlefield 3 and then went back to Bad Company to wait for Battlefield 3 to get good. That's like always the cycle.
Oh, well. Watchtower says Rebirth on PlayStation Plus could pull some folks back in for Game 3. I mean, it could, and I'm sure that'll be a strategy years from now when they're ready to roll with the next one, but
such a jumbled mess. We're talking about PS Plus and now PS4, then to PS5, then the next one, then maybe pull. It's a mess, man.
Christian says, don't forget the storyline of FF7R being different than the original. Yeah,
definitely not forgotten that.
Yeah,
that's another issue, I feel. But a lot of people like the new story or the story of the game, and that's great. But I personally, I think it's, man, the metaverse stuff that they're doing is a little weird all over the place for me. It's very hard. It's very confusing sometimes to kind of follow along what's happening. But
good news is the 9 remake is going to be true to form pretty much. So there you go. Switch Realm says, "What's up, guys? I don't really enjoy point and click games, but a Space for the Unbound is pretty rad. Def recommended. The pixel art is absolutely great."
thank you.
Andy Taylor says, "No collectible or resale value for 70 plus." Now pass. There we go. I will check over on Streamlabs as well as we finish up here. Let me go around though while I'm doing that. Let me start with MVG. Where can everyone find you?
Thanks for having me on, John. You can find me on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. I have a video coming out next week, and there may be, I'm not saying there will be, there may be a Nate the Hate next week.
Oh,
so
interesting. What's happening next week?
I don't know. Nate said
Nintendo Direct.
I don't think so. Didn't that all get canceled or
Got canceled? Got moved?
got moved or something?
This is over on Streamlabs. We have one from Adam who says, "MVG, being somewhat of an expert porting older games with the Carbon engine, what game or games do you want to work on to put on current gen consoles?"
Chrono Trigger.
That's the one. Chrono Trigger, make it happen. That needs to be on current systems already. I can't believe it's not. That's incredible. It's not actually. Let me go over to OJ. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find me over here on YouTube, Player Essence. I've got a big birthday stream that I'm doing tomorrow. So if you guys want to roll through.
Whose birthday is it?
My birthday. so I'll be doing some giveaways. We'll be giving away some games, some like Fire Emblem and other games and gift cards and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll be going over like different stuff. So if you want to come through to the stream tomorrow, we'll be doing that around 1 p.m. PT, 4 p.m. Eastern. Also, I did a video on Final Fantasy. So if you want to see, get a little bit more in depth on the Final Fantasy situation, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and the sales issue and some of the other things like with the sales numbers and compared and all that, I did a video on that today. So you can go check that out. And yeah, that's about it. If you want, I also cover RPG news and all of that. And I stream pretty much daily as well. So videos and daily. So yeah, check it out, Player Essence. Thanks for having me on.
Not only did I watch it, I left a comment in there, OJ.
Did you really? Oh, I got to go look at it. I got to go look at the comments. Sometimes I stay out of the, because sometimes people be giving me grief whenever I talk about the sales numbers. So I kind of stay out of the
comment.
Was
delete this video.
Because I got downloaded to oblivion because I reported on this 4 weeks ago that the sales were bad, that the sales were not good because of the Amazon trends, because of the different stuff that we saw with Famitsu, and people really disliked that video. So But yeah, so I kind of stay out of it when I'm those. But yeah, I will go take a look, MVG. Thanks for watching and thanks for commenting on it. I appreciate it.
Callan Shaw says, "I'm trying to finish FF7, but then I downloaded Balatro. Help, I can't stop playing this silly poker roguelike." I keep hearing about this game. I haven't checked it out. People say it's very good. So check out Balatro. Evan, where can everyone find you?
Find me here on YouTube at Kimmerix Project or X or Instagram or places like that. I usually go over tabletop stuff. I think I got a new video coming Monday. I'm trying to finish editing. I just finished a tournament last week that burned me out pretty hard, but I'm going to go over since it was kind of my first one back. So that was pretty fun.
Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll see you guys then.